What is up, good people? My name is Cal Morrison, and today I'm going to be checking out more than one plugin. I'm going to be checking out Amplitube 5, and I'm going to be checking out Guitar Rig 6 Pro, and I'm just going to compare them a little bit and see what's what with each one, see which one I personally prefer. Ever since I got into recording guitar at home, Guitar Rig and Amplitube have existed. Guitar Rig is now onto version 6 and Amplitube is now onto version 5. These are plugins that do a little bit of everything pretty well. As opposed to something like the Neural DSP plugins like the SLO100, where you get one amazing model of an SLO100. These plugins offer a wide range of models. The quality isn't quite at that Neural DSP level. That being said though, they're in no way bad. They're great. I thought I would do this video looking at things like what each one has to offer for the price, how it kind of works in terms of like the layout and the user interface, and also just get a little bit of me playing guitar, just kind of chugging away a little bit, playing some riffs in each one, shooting out some of the models, and just see what I feel is the best value for money wise. Okay, so to start off with, we've got Guitar Rig 6 loaded up here, and this is what it looks like. I'm just gonna start. There's a bunch of presets that you can go through, but let's just go in straight up and build the sound. So the way this works, it's kind of like a rack, you know, and first I'm gonna select an amplifier. Let's go for a 5150, the Van 51, because everyone loves a 5150. Straight out the box, this is what the default sound sounds like. So not quite the biting tone everyone kind of thinks of. Let's see, click the high gain button. It's worth saying that for this I'm using an LTD EC1000. It's pretty much my go-to guitar for everything metal. It's my favorite guitar out of the bunch. So one thing which is pretty cool is that if we remove this matched cabinet pro thing here and drop in, no, I want that one, I want the control room pro. It gives you a bit more choice in terms of like the miking. You can change the type of mic, like obviously you can change the type of cabinet as well, so let's just kind of go back and see if we can find that. The Van 51 cab, wherever it is, there it is. Yeah, so straight away there's a lot less bass on that. And there's like various again presets that you can go for, and you can load multiple instances, so we can go through and find the Van 51 again, and then we can have like a dynamic 57, so you can have like, you know, both. And so say you wanted to put a tube screamer on that, because we're talking metal, so let's be honest, that's the kind of thing we're gonna do. Again, you just drag it in, drop it beforehand. You do what inevitably every metal musician does, and then functionally it's pretty simple. It's very obvious what your signal chain is doing. You know, you start at the top, you work your way down, just like any rack really would. That's about it, really. It's got some delay stuff here. You've got dynamic based effects, various types of EQ, various filters. You know, everything that you would expect to have, you have at least one version of it to access. So with that being said, let's jump over to Amplitube and see what that looks like. So Amplitube loads in straight away with the JCM 800 loaded in. But let's go and get a 5150, see what it sounds like. Straight out the box, it definitely sounds a lot better than the default sound for the Guitar Rig 5150 did. There's definitely a lot less options on here. But quickly, let's just talk about the user interface. I personally really like this. When it comes to modular units, the first modular unit that I had that I got really into, and I still have it, is a Pod HD500X. The interface for Amplitube reminds me a lot of the HD500X's software that you could edit the sounds on. It was the same, signal path went from left to right. Again, really simple. So let's kind of check this out with a tube screamer. So along here, along the top, it's pretty simple, kind of self-explanatory. You got your effects area over here, then you've got your amp head section, then you've got the speaker section, and then you've got your rack effects at the end. So let's just kind of do what we did before. So that was very, very noisy. There's also one thing worth mentioning is that the Amplitube doesn't always have a gate on automatically, whereas the Guitar Rig 6 does have a gate just always active. So that's kind of, there we go. Get rid of some of that. That sounds cool. I like it. So now let's go and take a look at the cabinet section here. So again, you can adjust the various mics. The speaker cabinet section here is so much more involved than it is on Guitar Rig. So like I say, you can select your cabinet model here. And you can also load in your own IRs. You can do that with Guitar Rig 6 as well. Failed to mention that before, I do apologize. But once you've selected whatever cabinet you want, you can then be like, okay, so you can see here we've got 4 speakers. So say I wanted to hear what this cabinet sounded like with greenbacks. I just click on each, or the specific speaker that I want to change, and then click on the greenbacks, and now I think that's a really cool feature. Again, you can play around with your microphones. Just click on the next section and say we want to change this condenser for a ribbon mic, and I think that's modeling a 57, so that's pretty close to what we've got on the guitar rig. Sounds great. On top of that as well, you can also play around with the room. So say at the moment we got it in a hall. Say you wanted it in to sound like it's in an isolated cabinet room. You know, and there you have it. That's basically the user interface of them both. So now I'm going to jump back over to the guitar rig sound just to hear the comparison. We've got a pretty similar chain going, you know, we're emulating very much the same sort of mic setup. We've got a tube screamer in front of a 5150. So let's just jump between the two models and see straight out of the box which sounds better. Okay. Back to Amplitube. So again, guitar. And now Amplitube. Only thing that's changed here is the amp model. Everything else is the same. Like literally the only difference is the amp model. Okay. A bit more, but it seems to lack the real bottom end that the other one has, but it introduces this kind of like huge fizz that the other one doesn't have. Yeah, I'm definitely liking that more. I don't think either of them sound particularly like a dual rectifier, though, to be honest with you. It is also worth pointing out that Mesa Boogie have their own officially licensed model of a dual rectifier that you can buy from Amplitube. It's a great little kind of feature to be able to like add all these extra amps that you don't want. I'll just quickly show you that if you click here. So now it's showing me all the amps that I don't own, and then if I click again, it's like a combination of both, so you can see what I have and don't have. I normally just leave it set on what I have rather than being able to see what I don't have, because I'm very bad for impulse buying, and I feel it would just encourage me to spend more money than I realistically need to. So the final amp model that I'm going to take a look at is a Soldano SL100 called the Hot Solo Plus in Guitar Rig. This one's maybe slightly unfair because this is an aftermarket one that you do have to buy now. It was originally free when they released the SL100 model for Amplitube, but now you got to pay for it. It wasn't in the package that I bought, so it's maybe kind of unfair to include this one, but I think it sounds cool, the Amplitube one, and so let's just compare them and see how they stack up anyway. Alright, now let's jump over and let's check out the Amplitube one. So as you can see, it's blatantly says Soldano on the box. This is an officially licensed model from Soldano. I don't think it's quite the same quality as the Neural DSP one, but that said, this is considerably cheaper. If you got it at the right time, it was free. So I actually use this one quite a lot. I really enjoy this plugin. So that's the four of them. I'm going to listen to this back now and then just kind of have a little think about which I ultimately prefer. So I found that really difficult to decide after listening back which I actually really preferred. I listened to like some of the samples from each like while I wasn't playing. Yeah, I find it so difficult. Like honestly, like both of them sound great, considering how many different things they try and do. That like really, if it comes down to sound, that makes it very difficult to make a recommendation. However, for me personally, with the fact that you can always expand and get more models as they're released with Amplitube, the fact that you can change the room that your cabinet is in and the speakers that are in that cabinet, and like the way that like you can play with the mic positioning and stuff, I find it really hard not to recommend this tier of Amplitube over Guitar Rig, just purely because that functionality is amazing. I love the user interface. It reminds me of the Pod HD 500X's software interface, and that's what I grew up using. Like, I just think it's like such a great piece of software. I find it really hard not to recommend it over Guitar Rig. But thank you so much for watching. That's all for me today. If you like the content and you want to see more of it, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell to let you know when I'm putting out more videos. Also, if you have either of these plugins, let me know in the comments what you think of them, what you think their pros and cons are. And if you don't have the plugins, let me know what you preferred the sound of in the comments as well. And if you're intending on buying one of these, I hope this video is somehow been helpful to you. It's part of the reason why I do this, is I kind of want to be a helpful guy. But that's all for me. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.